Hi, folks. Welcome back to the official catch-up and the first version of our pyramid discussion podcast that we're going to do. And I'm joined by the usual two. I've got Sean Spedden here. How you doing, Sean?
Good, thanks. Good.
And of course, we've got Chris as well. How you getting on, mate?
Yeah, good. Keeping myself busy, obviously, as people will know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, we appreciate everyone that's been listening to the content that Chris and Sean have been putting out over the past week. There's been loads of interviews and chats. So to everyone that's given us a shout, thank you very much. And to you guys that are listening as well, really appreciate it. Another wee shout out just before we go any further. Our sponsors, the Soccer Shop Direct, despite everything, are sticking to their guns and supporting us and the rest of lower league Scottish football as well. So a massive thank you to the guys there. And obviously, we're now getting closer to next season. We don't know if the season's going to finish, but if you are looking to get any sportswear equipment, anything like that at all, there you guys. So it's at the Soccer Shop D on Twitter. So, gentlemen, pyramid discussion. Are we going to start with the West of Scotland developments?
Yeah, I guess so, mate. I mean, that was the talking point before all this sort of kicked off. So I'm quite happy for you to take the lead on that one, mate.
Aye. Well, just to put this out there right at the very start, I was in attendance at the first Lowland League information meeting for the West of Scotland League, and it was attended by George Fraser from the Lowland League and also the reps from the East of Scotland and South of Scotland leagues as well. So all three in the same table, which was really good to see. And there was a rep from every single West Junior side in attendance as well. And basically, before the meeting, they managed to arrange a very quick pyramid discussion group meeting in the morning, and they finally got some consensus through that. So Gordon Roney is the guy who's been leading things from the West Juniors point of view, from the West region side of things, and he managed to basically break the impasse in that they got a brief agreement, a kind of very basic structure of an agreement in place before the meeting, which totally changed the attitude, I felt like. So we were sitting in the room, and I know people will be screaming at the radio or whatever they're listening on just now about all the kind of gold-plated toilets and the 100k floodlights and all those things that have been flying around, the kind of myths that have been peddled. But all those were cleared up instantly. It was very simply explained that the West of Scotland League will be, as the Lowland and East are, run by members for members, and they can set their own rules to whatever they want. Obviously, South Challenge Cup and all that as well. And everyone seemed to get on board very, very easily, which was great to hear because we've kind of been batting heads against brick walls for a long time, it feels like. And I feel that we've finally got somewhere since a lot of these juniors jumped over to the East of Scotland 2 years ago. It felt like how the West teams basically decided we want to go together. We don't want to fragment the same way that the East did. So as of now, the application process has been extended to the 7th of April. But the understanding is each and every West Juniors team will now apply to the West of Scotland League. And there'll be one or two extra teams applying as well. And it will be conferences, the same as what the East did, into, well, basically they'll end up being Premiership, potentially Championship, first League One and League Two again, like the West Juniors are just now. But it's really exciting times, and it looks like we've finally got things moving in the right direction. And hopefully this was the biggest logjam that was in place in terms of the pyramid. So hopefully this will now make the North and East fall into place as well, and we can just get over the hump, essentially.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. And I think when we first done our pyramid working group chat, Mozza, it was heated, it was passion, it was there was a lot of negativity. Not really from us, but we were obviously just trying to be as realistic as possible. And I've seen the change in the chat basically, and I've spoke to a lot of people that might have had different opinions a few months ago, but it seems to me like it's taken a positive side, and everyone's looking forward for the West teams to come in and be a part of the pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tone more than anything else. It feels different. I think. There's not really an adversary kind of going on, adversarial tone. It's more, let's get together and let's get it done. You know, it makes such a difference. What do you think, Sean?
I think it's interesting. It's something I've been for a wee while. Like I think just everybody playing under that one umbrella is just going to increase competition, obviously. So it's brilliant to hear it all falling into place. So you obviously said about applications getting extended to April 7th. What's next? Do you have any sort of insights into that? What's the next step after those applications come in, as far as things like assembling a board of directors, sorting out those conferences, sorting out what cup competitions there'll be, and there's obviously everything that's going on just now with the coronavirus. Like, what kind of impact is that going to have?
So basically, the understanding that I've got is similar to the way the East of Scotland did it when they expanded. There will be a meeting pretty soon, arranged after all the applications are in, and at that point they'll thrash out, here's the dates, here's the conferences. If they're going to add any cup competitions in, I don't know if they really need to be honest, because a lot of the teams coming over are going to retain their membership in the SGFA, and because of that, they'll go in, still enter the Scottish Junior Cup. So when you consider they've got the South Challenge Cup if they want to be in that, the idea going around is it might be mandatory. That's not the information I've got. They've got the Scottish Junior Cup. There's potentially enough cups already if they form a quick West of Scotland Cup as well for a league cup, you know. So it should be thrashed out pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
And what about? I know I'm probably brushing over one of the many questions I just asked you, but what about? I don't really follow the West of Scotland juniors even now with it all happening, but with their season coming to an end early, do you think, or potentially coming to an end early, do you think it's a bit easier for those guys because they don't really need to worry about the season ending because they're going to be joining a new league next season? Do you think that's not really a pro, but something they don't have to worry about like some of the other leagues do?
Yeah, the thing with the West, I don't think their league's officially been voided as yet for the season, but because they're going to be coming over in a conference setup, it makes things so much easier because everyone's going to be at the same tier regardless when we're getting started out. So there's not going to be the debates about promotion, relegation, this isn't fair. And they're going to get next season to prove what's fair and earn their place in that developing pyramid. So you avoid that issue. And it also means that teams coming in, one of which Drumchapel are one of the other teams that have applied, who are a well-established amateur side who have got a decent pedigree there. It also gives them a chance to pit their wits against these teams and show what they've got as well. So I think conferences was a sensible way to go, and I'm happy that that's what they've elected to look at, basically, because there was a suggestion that they might try and come over just the leagues as they were, which could have caused a few more issues, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate, and it allows other teams, as you mentioned, like Drumchapel, and I'm assuming the likes of Bonnyton will probably join West rather than be in the south of Scotland due to their location. It gives everyone a fair opportunity to progress, and obviously we saw it, last year with the East of Scotland how that worked out, and teams find their level basically, and I think that's often said. A lot of this, even the Lowland League about teams finding their level in the East of Scotland and West of Scotland, but I think that's the fairest way to do it. And as I said, I'm really looking forward to it happening.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant, and it can only strengthen the Lowland long term as well, because these sides, if they come top of that west side of the pyramid, will be moving up to the Lowland. The same as what happened in the East and the South. The big pressure going forward now is going to be on the Lowland League because there's only one relegation spot as things stand. With all those west sides coming over and giving you a massive kind of boost and strength in that side of the country, the pressure's going to be to go up to 2 or 3 relegation spots. And it'll be interesting to see how the clubs respond to that. Here's a slight side note, a lead up, because clubs in the SPFL haven't reacted very well recently, have they? I'll let you lead us in that, Chris.
God, someone I mentioned obviously before recording, but before I came on, but I got asked my opinions on this. Obviously, I kept it on Twitter as just a think emoji. But yeah, the chairman of Stenhousemuir, obviously, self-preservation. I get it. I understand it. Obviously, they're trying to do what's best for their clubs, and a bit disrespectful for the likes of our clubs in the Lowland League: Kelty Hearts, Bonnyrigg Rose, BSC. Can name about half the league. By the way, some teams are going, obviously, saying that they're going to go for it next season. But what can you really say other than it's what we're used to, though. In fairness, we're used to us, not getting our voices heard, and the 42 obviously taking they're the ones that the SFA tend to listen to. We're just, the side note, or the footnote rather. It's a shocking mentality to have, but I do understand it. I really do understand it. He's obviously looking out for his club, but there's nothing. You can't stop progress, and progress is what's happening at non-league at this moment. And there's going to be a big debate about what should happen if the SFA are even considering not relegating clubs from the League Two.
I think it's a bit of a testament to how well the pyramids work and just how sort of ridiculous the statement comes across as, because it has came across as someone I can't see that happening, and I don't think that's just for somebody who follows below League Two. I think even people up at SPFL 2 level, outside maybe Stenhouse, Muir's boardroom maybe, but it just comes across as a bit of a ridiculous statement, whereas 4 or 5 years ago that was kind of the norm. It was all self-preservation, whereas people think it's ridiculous, especially when they look at, or I get the impression, I can't really speak for everybody else, but I get the impression it comes across as a bit of a silly notion, because when you look at like say Cove Rangers and Edinburgh City and what they've brought to the league, and the fact that, with all due respect, Shire and Berwick, they haven't bounced right back up. I think a lot of people look at that statement and think it's just it's a bit nonsense, but maybe I'm wrong, and it'd be interesting to hear some pros for that statement, but I haven't seen any so far.
The pros are for Stenhousemuir, I guess, if they have no relegation to worry about, and that's about it, to be honest. But it's just, as you say, Chris, you can understand where the guy's coming from, because he's concerned about his club, that's his job. But it flies in the face of everything that's been worked on and achieved in the last 5-10 years. Because look, as you say, look at what Cove Rangers have done this year. They've gone up, they've taken their chance, and they're flying at the top of League Two. That actually might be the reason why they're so worried, because they know clubs are willing to do everything to get in the leagues, and then suddenly they're going to be above them in the step ladder, ultimately. But this is just a natural progression. There's teams that are there that, all things considered, aren't that well equipped to stay there compared to other clubs that have previously been junior sides or have built up really well in the amateur side that have came into the senior pyramid. It's just the way things are going to be over the next 10, 20 years. And obviously, George and the Lowland are campaigning for an automatic spot every chance they get for League Two. That's just, I think it's laughable, to be honest. That's the easiest way to sum it up. But the other thing that flies on what Chris was saying there, kind of the way we get treated, or the lack of respect that the leagues out with the SPFL get shown. That the understanding I've got, the information I've been given, and it is a source that I trust 100% because they were right with all the West League developments, is that if relegated, Brecon would be getting forced into the Lowland League as well, despite the boundaries and the rules that were apparently in place at the start of the season. So it feels like it's one rule for them and another rule for the clubs out with the SPFL. And it just can't go on like that.
No, not at all, mate. And I remember hearing that, and kind of like I take it or leave it sort of thing. I don't think we have much of a choice. I did speak to Cameron Hobbs, obviously of Spartans, a few days ago now, and he was we kind of talked about these sort of things, and yeah, I always laugh at that sort of thing. But I think it's up in the air at the moment anyway, Derek, because of what's happening. But yeah, Brecon. Yeah, no disrespect for them, but they should be in the Highland League. In my personal opinion, they shouldn't be in the Lowland League. But if it was to happen that they were in the Lowland League, obviously, we'll accept them like we've accepted Berwick Rangers and stuff like that. But I think it's a bit of a, do as you're told as far as I'm concerned, and that's disrespectful to the hard work that everyone puts in the Lowland League throughout all the clubs. It is what it is, mate, and yeah, I need to keep my opinions cool, I guess. But yeah, it's, as I mentioned, I think it's a bit of a joke, really.
Speaking as somebody who's working with the SFA currently, so I really should be keeping my opinions cool. But the thing that annoys me about it is that everyone knew the rules at the start of the season. And if they can change it now to suit a member club, why can't they change other things? The Lowland have been told in the past that they couldn't change things, like with the whole Whitehill welfare situation with Bonnyrigg, until pressure got put on there and the right thing was done. So why is it some clubs can get things done whereas other clubs are told no, you knew the state of play at the start of the season, or the precedent's been set? We need consistency. Simple as that.
That I thought it was an interesting move for Brecon if that's their decision to go down to the Lowland League, because strength-wise it's obviously going to get a lot stronger over the next few seasons, whereas I think the Highland are still a few steps away from building the same sort of structure. So I don't know, it just, you'd expect Brecon to want to get back up into SPFL 2 as quickly as possible, but it sounds like they're making that decision based on accepting that they're not going to be able to make the jump back up, which is, it's just, I find that quite interesting, because I think if they do, they've dropped down to they've chose, I assume the decision to play in the Lowland League would be based on them playing for more than one season in the Lowland League, which I just think is quite an interesting take, even though we've seen Shire drop down and stay for a while, and we're going to see the same for Berwick. You'd still expect them to have a bit more ambition to bounce straight back, and you'd think doing that through the Highland League, and no disrespect to the Highland League, but that would perhaps be the club's best option to make an immediate return back to SPFL football. But maybe that's just me. I just think it's a bit of a strange decision for them to come to.
Yeah, what I got told, the information I got was that basically most of their players are based in the Central Belt, and that's where they do their recruiting. So I think that had the most bearing on the kind of preference to go to the Lowland, because if they go to the Highland, suddenly they've got to start recruiting for a different area, generally, and they're back to square one again. Like, you see what happened to Berwick in the summer. The fact, not just with the boardroom side of things, but they did a lot of their recruitment in an area of Edinburgh and East, whereas they came down and suddenly there was a hell of a lot more competition in the same area, and have had to build from scratch again. So I suspect Brecon might have found the same thing, regardless of Highland or Lowland, but they've obviously decided that would be the way that would be more sensible for them. And I guess someday with a bit more knowledge than me's gone ahead and made that judgment, but it does surprise me that they've not thought, well, the Highland maybe offers an easier route back.
It's kind of ridiculous, though. I know, I understand that, but you can't help where your club's based. You know what I mean? We've talked about it for some of the clubs in the Lowland League, like Gala, Berwick, Gretna. I just find it laughable, to be honest, just because of where they want to recruit players. I get why they would do that, but again, the club's based in Brecon.
Well, I guess off the back of that is, if that's the situation with clubs, would you change the rules around the boundary line between Highland and Lowland? So, in effect, would you say at the start of the season, tell us what league you'll go into if you get relegated, and they've got to pick at that point, and then they're stuck to it?
No, I think that the only reason the boundaries should change is if once a pyramid is properly embedded and you've got your Highland set up and your Lowland set up, the only time it should change is to sort of keep the numbers right. So you see, if you've seen a lot of teams north of the line getting relegated to SPFL 2, then you'd maybe move the line to more evenly distribute the teams between the two at some point down the line. But because all this is going to lead to is, a team that's south of Brecon getting relegated, Cowdenbeath getting relegated out of League 2, let's say, and deciding they want to play in the Highland League, and the supporters' buses waving at each other as they go past each other. It's just got to be a bit ridiculous. But I suppose that's the precedent that they're setting by allowing Brecon to do this. But that's on the SFA, and we all know they know what they're doing.
Yeah, one rule for one. I mean, the rules are in place because of this. I don't think they should have, with all due respect, a massive say if the SFA have put them rules or guidelines down. I know the SFA will be, they've kind of changed it for Brecon, but it's like Sean says, like, what happens if another team was like, oh, well, we've got a better chance of winning the Highland League than the Lowland League. Let's go to the Highland League. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to clear it up. And this, ironically enough, obviously it's a horrendous reason why the football season's been essentially postponed at this point. But this is a perfect time to get issues ironed out. And there's nothing stopping. Well, we've seen the pyramid developments in the meantime. And obviously it's helped that minds have been concentrated on it. There is nothing stopping those in the SFA and the SPFL kind of getting together and going, right, this is how it's going to work now. Just avoid any issues going forward. Clubs know what the game is. They know the rules. You could give the Highland and Lowland, look, if you achieve set kind of targets, let's just say, we'll give you an automatic relegation spot. There's all sorts of ways they could be using this as a positive just now, this time that's available.
Yeah, absolutely. But it frustratingly doesn't seem to be going that way at the moment. I just want to backpedal a little bit because I'm sure the information, if it's available, it's maybe out there. But for myself and maybe other people who are getting their information for this, when we're talking about that promotion and the relegation spots changing with the West of Scotland coming in, what is the chat around the way promotion and relegation could work at the end of next season?
So the understanding was season 1, the West would enter a 3-way playoff with the East and the South, assuming all the winners are licensed. So as it is just now, just with one relegation spot for the Lowland League, going forward, I feel like that's going to change because there's going to be so much pressure on the Lowland now that the West teams have came over and done their bit. And obviously they'll start the whole licensing process now as well. Some of them are already down the line with it, like Silk and like Talbot, for example. I think the initial move for the Lowland might be to go to 17 teams for a season and then have 2 relegation spots.
West of Scotland's going to set up with 3 conferences, so is the idea going to be that there'll be a 3-way playoff between the conference winners and then a 3-way playoff between East, South and West? I know that it's probably not ironed out, but because that's definitely it's a tough path to get to the Lowland League if you're playing in that inaugural West of Scotland.
Yeah, it'll be more than 3 conferences as well because there's that many teams. It'll be 4 conferences. I'd imagine 16, 17 teams. So you could go semi-finals, final. You could go round robin. You'd probably want to go semi-finals, final, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And then from there, you'd need to play, depending on the South winners licensed. It might just be a one-off game against the East winners, or you'd imagine most of these teams that have got a shot at winning it are now licensed. If you look at the East of Scotland Premier, the top 9 or 10 have now got a club licence. So they should be putting forward a winner every year that has that in place, you'd imagine.
And I suppose that's the way, if you're like a West of Scotland fan that's listening in, that's kind of the way you're going to have to look at it. This first season's going to be about setting up that West of Scotland, probably more so. I mean, there's every chance that a team for the West of Scotland will get promoted into the Lowland League, but the biggie is going to be setting out the rankings, the standings in the different leagues in that first season. That's, I suppose, what it's going to be all about. And then, it'll be interesting to see how the discussions go after that, because you are going to be sitting with a position where there's going to be a lot of strength. There already is below the Lowland League, It's no disrespect because we've all got a lot of love for those teams that are sitting at the foot of the table in the Lowland League, but it's inevitable and it's coming, and it's whether it comes over 10 years with one relegation, one promotion, or it comes over 5 with 2 and 2, or that kind of thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Certainly.
Is there anything on where the teams will be, Mozza? Is it just random, or is it based on obviously small locations, I guess, or regions?
The idea was the same as East did. So basically, they'll be ranked on finishing positions in their respective leagues. Obviously, that's where voiding the season comes in if that happens. But say there'd be a list from 1 to 16 for the West of Scotland Premiership, and they would get allocated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like in the different leagues like that. Anyone else could get thrown in at the end, and hopefully that way you get a little bit of balance. That's a concept anyway that came up. So we'll see if they stick to that or not. Again, that's something that will need to get thrashed out in the meeting of applicants after the deadline is gone. But it worked really well in East. And you did have some lopsided scorelines. Like you saw Tweedmouth get a few cuffins. You also saw like Lothian, Thistle, Hutchie Vale, who were brilliant the year before, begin to struggle slightly. But they've now bounced back, as have Tweedmouth. So these clubs shouldn't be worried if they're going to get a Tonkin here and there, like a Drumchapel coming in. Because if you look at the examples, Inverkeith and Hillfield Swiss for another one, they've all had really good second season campaigns after the initial conferences. So it shouldn't be seen as something that's going to harm your club, I don't think.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's not ideal, obviously, having conferences, but I think it's the fairest way to decide it. I think the East of Scotland last season was good at that, and as you mentioned, obviously, you said lopsided scorelines. That's going to happen because it's like what we keep saying. Teams will find their level anyway, and we'll see how it goes with West of Scotland. But obviously, the massive interest for the amount of teams that have applied, which is great. I think it makes it goes up higher the line, obviously a stronger Lowland League, stronger East of Scotland, because I think people tend to forget that there's a lot of teams applying for the East of Scotland also. So going to be, every team that wants to be has the chance to be part of the pyramid, and it's good times for Scottish football.
More competition across all levels, and it's brilliant, aye.
And the pressure is going to go upwards, ultimately. So the more teams that are in the pyramid and the more teams that are ambitious and following the club licensing process, the more it's going to not go just on the lowland for more relegation, but also in turn on the SPFL for automatic relegation. It's going to get too loud eventually for them to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because potentially in 5 years' time, like just kind of imagining what the lowland could be like at that point, you could have the teams we've got now throwing the likes of Knockin like Talbot, Kilwin and Rangers. You could throw in like teams for the East like Linlithgow Rose or Bowness potentially this year could be coming up. It could be a right strong league, and potentially at that point you're then pushing the boundaries. Is it on the same level as League Two?
I would agree, Derek. I mean, we've said it. I think we both agree. I think we all agree, actually, Sean. But there needs to be a restructure higher up. 10 teams in a league's not great. Or 12 teams, 10, 12. I mean, I've heard, obviously, maybe at the end of this we'll have 14, and 16 seems to work. You can have 16 teams in a championship, League 1, League 2, and I think it would be as competitive, if not more so, with the likes of maybe Kelty, Bonnyrigg, East Stirlingshire, BSC. Any of these sort of teams would complement the league football. I don't ever see it being too big in the Premiership because of obviously Rangers and Celtic. It's one of those things that'll probably never change. That's the draw of Scottish football to the English, the media, whatever you want to say. But you've got to be respectful to like us, Kelty, what they've done. Bonnyrigg, all the top teams in the Lowland League, all the top teams in the East of Scotland, the West Juniors. There's just too much ambition, and that's the biggest issue with teams in League Two. And no disrespect to some of them, but they've not had ambition for so long. They don't know what it's like. they've seen a massive, decline for my local team, Cowan Beef. They were extremely worried about the likes of Kelty coming into the league, and I think the feeling is, rather than ambition, they're nervous, and that's not just League Two, that's League One, that possibly even Championship. So it's like what I said earlier, you can't stop progress, and they're going to have to take notice of us eventually. I hope it's very soon, and I hope there is a reconstruction, because something has to happen in Scottish football. Because fans, I hear it from East Stirlingshire fans, I hear it from Berwick fans, they prefer the style of the Lowland League because they're playing two fixtures against a team rather than 3 or 4, or possibly, I think someone said, Gary the other night said they played Forfar 7 times in a season or something daft like that. So
7, Jesus.
Yeah, so I think the betterment of Scottish football would be having games that matter. You're going to play Gallifrey Dean Rovers twice, or maybe more than that in the cup or whatever. But that's what's exciting for fans. I'm never a fan of seeing the same teams, 4 or 5 times a season.
Yes, I think it's inevitable. I think it's coming. I even think it'll come at SPL level eventually. I realise that progress, it isn't that fast, or it certainly doesn't seem fast, but with the implementation of the pyramid, I think, in the west of Scotland moving over, I think part of the reason that we've always seen such small leagues is because there's only been 42 teams.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you how many teams there are now, but there is a lot of teams when you include the pyramid with the west of Scotland in there. Enough teams to easily fill up a bigger SPL Championship league, and that's only good for Scottish football. The Celtic and Rangers are inevitably, they're going to play each other a couple of times if that league gets any bigger, but they're going to face each other in cup ties as well, and the SFA are there to govern the whole of Scottish football, not just the Old Firm. And I realise at the moment they're quite heavily sided with the Old Firm, and I think they will be for a wee while, but I think certainly in our lifetime we'll see the SPL expand, because Scottish professional football, with the pyramid in there's just so much more competition, there's so many more teams, and it'll only be good for football as well. There'll still be a lot of Celtic and Rangers games, Old Firms, and there'll be a lot more teams that go up against Celtic and Rangers as a result of the league expanding as well, and I didn't expect to see it happen anytime soon, but it's coming. And I think and I suppose the influence that these original 42 teams have, the more of those guys that maybe drop down into the Lowland or the Highland League and then have influence over the SFA, or connections that maybe allow them to sway it a little bit more, because they'll see the value in increasing it. I think it's coming over time, at all levels, 100%.
Yeah, there seems to have been a wee kind of bit of agreement found for the SPFL teams in terms of a restructure to 3-14s, as you've mentioned, Chris. I personally think that's better than what we've got right now. It's not the be-all and end-all, I don't think, but it's progression. So I think if you basically had a Premiership, a Championship, and League One, and got rid of League Two, and then, as you say, you're kind of wanting to play teams home and away. The 14-team league doesn't really do that. What it gives you is potentially a split halfway. So you play home and away, have a split, and then home and away against like the top 7 and the bottom 7, similar to what the Premiership's got with the 12 teams. But the issue is, in terms of going up to 16, clubs don't want to go down for what they've got right now, which is 36 league games to 30 league games. So we need to find a way that'll get clubs on board in the SPFL level for that. And also the Premiership's get the side issue of, say, a St Mirren going, aye, but 16 games, we would only play Celtic and Rangers once at home. Whereas now, potentially, if we got top 6, we'd get them more and that kind of thing. So it's self-preservation. There's a lot of clubs that are looking after their bank balance rather than thinking about the greater good, which is understandable because they've got a club to run at the end of the day and they want to get them as much money in as possible for the squad and so on. You look at St Johnstone, who are like on the bottom line every year. They're just kind of treading water, staying in the same level, and that's success to them. But I think going to 3 and 14 albeit I think the only reason that's getting suggested is because they're scared that Hearts would launch legal action if they were to get relegated. I think it would be a positive thing initially, and it also means that it's one step further up the ladder for teams that are currently in the Highland and Lowland. It's one less level to get through to go towards the very top. And it's unrealistic to think that many teams will go up the very top challenge, but ultimately, I think it would simplify things a lot for clubs that are looking to progress.
But there's the thing, though. We obviously mentioned Celtic and Rangers, and yeah, of course, when Celtic and Rangers are in town, there'll be a massive crowd and they'll make a lot of money. But if you're bettering a league, adding teams that are going to be more competitive, and you're not, as I mentioned, you're not playing the same teams 4 or 5 times a season. That would make it more entertaining for the fans. So you'll naturally get fans coming to games. Because it will be more interesting. It's not all Celtic and Rangers. I know that's the big payday for clubs and stuff, but it can't all be about Celtic. And I'm a Rangers fan, and this is that's my viewpoint. It can't all be about Celtic and Rangers, and it shouldn't be.
And I totally agree with you, but I feel like club chairmen and treasurers have their minds clouded by that money, and they don't see the bigger picture because of that. They just see, we're going to lose a massive payday.
That can happen though when they take that sort of relegation down, and that's a biggie when you take that step down at championship level, that you lose out on such a huge amount of income. Whereas if the SPL ends up with more teams in it, if you're in the SPL you're going to get less, but it's going to be spread out over more teams, and the drop off for getting relegated will be less, if that makes sense, because you're maybe only losing it on 2 Old Firms as opposed to the 4. And it spreads the wealth a bit more, which again, it's only good for competition and for Scottish football. I think with so many more pros than cons, it's just getting away from the dinosaur mentality that you often find in big organisations like the SFA sometimes.
It's going to be a slow process, isn't it? Ultimately, when you look at the clubs in the SPFL, those 42 clubs, take Cove and Edinburgh City out of it because they've obviously recently joined. But there's a lot of clubs there that have been there for a long time, and this is the way it's always been. And this is the way it works, will be the mentality there. So, the same way the pyramid's taking longer than it could have taken to get there, sometimes you just need one little breakthrough, and hopefully we get that, because I'm delighted. You can probably tell when I'm talking about the West of Scotland League that I'm really excited about it, really enthusiastic for it to get started, because I genuinely think that it's the biggest development in the pyramid since the Lowland was formed. It's massive for Scottish football, because it fills the biggest gap there was. So we've now got a functioning pyramid, despite the fact we need to sort of promotion and relegations here and there. In theory, a club can join at the very bottom rung of the West or the East or the South and go all the way to the Premiership. And that is what a pyramid is there to do. So that's the positive side. The negative side is there's still a hell of a lot of work left ahead of us, and a lot of people to talk around, and a lot of other kind of vested interest to dispel and just get things moving in that front, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you say, it's a long process. It'll be interesting to see how it all works out, but it's interesting to see what stage we're at the moment with the West of Scotland, and hopefully you can get along to a few more of the meetings as well and be able to give us a bit more insight as well, which would be decent.
I'll do my best. It might look a bit dodgy if I pop up in a video call, though, if we're still doing it that way. I think, who's this guy? He just knows nothing. But we'll see how it goes. And the likes of Gordon Roney for the West has been really good to be giving me kind of some answers for questions when I did the initial article and that kind of thing as well. I actually think he deserves a lot of credit, to be honest. And I don't really think he's got it up to this point. Well,
you need to get him on and get some West Scotland views, similar to what Chris has been doing with East of Scotland, because I think they've got a lot to say, certainly.
Aye, absolutely, and it's something I'll definitely intend to do. The likes of Bennett Cowinning's quite keen to come on, so we'll definitely get some chats there. But the thing that the difference between this pod and the chat we had when everything seemed to be falling apart with Tom Johnson in the SGFA, Gordon's come in and taken a very pragmatic approach to it. He's not demanded everything. He's basically gone, right, at heart, we're football clubs, we've got tradition, we want to keep some of that. Let's keep our membership of the juniors and let's keep the Scottish Junior Cup. We can still keep those things and become senior side in the senior pyramid and be ambitious. And that middle ground was exactly what we've needed since day dot. Actually, I think Chris mentioned that exact thing when we had the initial chat, saying, why don't we do best of both worlds? We've finally got there. And it'll be, do you know, actually, on the flip side, it'll be interesting to see if any of the old junior sides in the East now rejoin the Junior Football Association and join in the Scottish Junior Cup again, because the whole reason they left was because they weren't allowed to do that. Now that they've realised change had to happen, that's been put in place, could we see the likes of Camelin, Linlithgow, Rose and all that jump back into the Junior Cup? We'll need to wait and see.
But yeah, I know it's probably lost in the shuffle, but I did actually speak to Ben Grant of Kilwinning earlier in the week.
Oh, right.
So you did, so you
You
did,
beat
sorry.
me to the punch, didn't it?
I know, but yeah, I've been pumping out so much content. Of course, it will get lost in the shuffle. But yeah, we've been. I've had a few West chats, obviously, with Ben and Chris Marshall, who's obviously follows Pollock. Paul Mooney, Clydebank. So it is good to get different views. Obviously, I've spoken to, as you guys mentioned, East of Scotland people, Johnny Harvey, Trinent, and obviously a lot of Lowland League people and whatnot. But it's all interesting. It's all interesting chat. I just feel like the progress has been made at our level, non-league. Lowland, East of Scotland, West of Scotland, but the progress stops as soon as you get into league football, and I think that's the biggest issue. We need to get some progress higher up the levels. I mean, statements we've mentioned, obviously, like Stenhouse-Muir, totally understand self-preservation, but you need to change. You need to change, and as I keep saying, you can't stop progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, obviously it's all sort of fantasy at the moment. We're not sure 100% what's going to happen. Some things are up in the air, but one thing that is sure, mate, is that you've just done your FM fantasy database. How's it going?
Aye, I'm working away still on it, but I've released the initial version out. So what the chat we've just had, it basically takes a lot of the things that are happening in real life and applies them to Football Manager. Given that nobody really can have enough things to take their mind off being stuck in the house constantly just now. So it's got 14 team leagues, Premiership, Championship, League One, and the SPFL, and then you break it down to the Highland and Lowland League. I've actually added a 17th team to the Lowland just to make things match up. And underneath there, you've got 6 feeder leagues, so it works out quite nicely. I've increased the relegation and so on as well to what I think it should be. But in terms of the Lowland, it's what's happening in real life. You've got a West, you've got an East, you've got a South. Didn't need to muddle with that too much. In the North, there have been discussions already with the North Caledonian League and the North Super League juniors. The North Caledonian League have basically agreed that they're quite happy to sit below the Highland. I suspect now things might be in motion for the North Super League, given that the West have now made their moves as well. So what I've done is I've taken those two and I've also added in an Angus and Tayside League, because that's the big question mark just now. And it feels common sense to have that region covered in the Highland League with a regional, the Highland region with a regional league. And it's quite a strong league, actually, when you look at it. And the teams like Lochee and Tayport, all these kind of sides. So it works really nicely. I should also say it starts in July of 2020 to try and give it a wee bit of potential realism as well. But if anyone wants to give it a bash, just find me on Twitter, @Mozaplays. It's the pinned tweet on there. The link will explain it all, and you can download for there and get playing, basically.
Brilliant, mate. And obviously, over the last few weeks, the East Scottish Cup, you've kind of set that up with Michael at the SFA, and
yeah,
I was peeved that I never got a team. I thought you would throw me a favour in there, but I'll just have to focus on my FM Premier duties with Norwich.
No, as I say, I didn't have any influence other than myself getting BSc, just as a thank you for the work I did on it. But if anyone hasn't heard, it's basically using Football Manager. We're running an East Scottish Cup, myself and Michael Bokel at the SFA. Basically, they've taken the helm and doing all the running of it. I just set up the teams and the database, that side of things. But every team from the first round of this year's actual competition has had a manager allocated, and they're playing each other all the way through to the final. If we're still in isolation at that point, I don't know if it'll be live streamed or not. We'll need to wait and see. But it's just trying to bring a wee bit of distraction, a bit of fun and games to it as well. And I will be raging if, as BSc manager in the second round, I get drawn Celtic and get pumped. First round followed the same pattern, the exact same fixture list is what happened in this season's tournament. From there, we're down to 64 teams, and it's all in the same draw. So we're not waiting for Rangers and Celtic and Hibs and Hearts later on. Everyone goes in at the same stage, and it's just going to be great fun, hopefully.
yeah. I would. I was only kidding, Moz, obviously, but
no, I know you were. It's because somebody accused me of showing favouritism, and I had to let them know that I had no influence on it. So that goes to prove it, mate. The fact that you never got a team.
Yeah, no, I would have loved to be involved. I think I would, even if I got a Lowland League team or a non-league team, I think I would have claimed a few scalps. I'm not quite a pro at FM, but I know what it is to play competitively. But yeah, a fantastic idea from all involved, like yourself and Michael, because yeah, at the moment I think we do all need distractions, and this is exactly why I'm doing the podcast with people, and why we're putting this one out today, just to update folk. And I think it's all appreciated with people stuck in the house, only allowed out once a week, and once a day for their daily exercise. And there's some people still working and stuff, but hopefully everything gets them through the day.
Absolutely. And obviously we'll continue to put content out with you two guys as well. If anyone does fancy coming on for the world of football, give us a shout, because Chris is there waiting for your message, basically. But we'll obviously keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully provide some distractions when they're needed.
I wasn't really sure what we were gonna have a conversation about, but I think we've had plenty to talk about, which is really good, and hopefully, listeners are picking up a lot. I've certainly picked up a lot about the West of Scotland. You're spot on. Anybody who wants to get involved, I think it doesn't need to be a player, a gaffer. You could just be a fan and you want to talk about your team in the Lowland or the East of Scotland or the West of Scotland a little bit. Get in touch, because it's far easier when somebody drops us a message as opposed to us having to pester people and go through. And probably, if somebody's keen, it's going to be a far better conversation. So get in touch with us. But no, I've been enjoying listening for the last 5-10 minutes, to be honest.
No worries. Well, listen, folks, thank you very much for listening to us rattle on today about the pyramid and so on. If you have any feedback for us, please, as always, give us that on tweets at Official Catchup. On YouTube, we'll read all the comments, as always. We've got the Facebook page, Lowland League Catchup. And a big shout out again to our sponsors for all the podcasts that we pump out at the moment. The Soccer Shop Direct at the Soccer Shop D on Twitter, who have got you sorted for all teamwear, equipment, and anything else you need football wise. Especially when this is winding down and we're getting back to getting outside and playing games again. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But I have been Derek, and you can find me at Moza Plays on Twitter and everywhere else. Chris?
At Rampant FM on Twitter, or Official Catchup.
And then Sean?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at SeanSpain89. We've also got an Instagram account, which is a bit redundant at the moment, considering it would just be pictures of the house, but it's still there, and it's good to get follows on there as well.
Absolutely. What's the name on Instagram, just to double check it, Sean?
Official.catchup.
There you go, folks. So thanks again for listening in. We will be back, no doubt, with several chats over the next couple of weeks or so. Appreciate the support as always, and we'll catch you next time.